Crosby stepping up with 3 seconds remaining to see if he can put this one over the top for the Green Bay Packers, who trail right now the San Francisco 49ers 28-27 in the contest. Welcome. It's the Green and Gold Postgame Show. I'm Bill Michaels. We are glad you're on board tonight. What a thrilling game in so many different facets as the Green Bay Packers have just beaten the San Francisco 49ers on a last-second time-winding down field goal, 30-28. It comes to an end. Welcome to the Green and Gold Postgame Show. Oh, my goodness. Pandemonium right now via the Green Bay Packers. And, boy, I tell you what, you can feel glad about it, but in so many different factors, you just don't. That never Packers making some huge mistakes. The officiating is something obviously we're going to talk about. It was awful, to say the very least. But I'll tell you this, the Packers couldn't look much better in the first half of that game. On the road, I get you. Look, I appreciate the aggressiveness of Matt LaFleur. I really do. But if you're gonna be aggressive with it, you better pull up a better play call than that. He should have just put the points on the board, and this game would have never been in that kind of jeopardy to begin with. But the old wily veteran, that being Mason Crosby, his leg puts it over the top, and a jumping joyously and hugging a Joe Barry after that ball split the uprights is Aaron Rodgers, and he did just enough to get the Packers over the top. Phone numbers are this, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Aaron Rodgers, 23 of 33, 261 yards, a couple of touchdowns, quarterback rating of 113.3. Aaron Jones, 19 carries, 82 yards. Got yeoman's work, but left with an ankle injury. Hopefully it's not too severe, but I'll tell you this. If Davante Adams ever goes down, I don't know what the Packers are going to do. 18 targets tonight and 12 catches. Again, 18 targets and 12 catches for Davante Adams. 14 targets for the rest of the entire team tonight. 14 targets for the rest of the entire team tonight. If he ever goes down, world of hurt. It's as simple as that. Again, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. The officiating was unbelievably poor. I get it. I never make an excuse. I mean, the Packers got a couple of calls early in that ball game that went in their favor. All the San Francisco 49er fans were bitching about it. Then what happened was the Davante Adams shot to the head that was never called. That is, and would have been in college, a targeting call, and the defensive back would have been out of the game. Period. Simple as that. Period. But that's not the way they call it in the pros. Unfortunately, what's really funny is, and I shouldn't say funny in the ha-ha sense, but they are so about player health and safety and allow that kind of a play. But then you go back to the tripping call, and yeah, it was a trip. But did you think to maybe throw the flag because Adrian Amos was being held? His shirt was being squeezed around the front of him? Did anybody happen to catch that? You know, it just the really ticky-tack pass or the roughing the passer call on Jair Alexander, who, by the way, did not have a very good game tonight. But to Jimmy Garoppolo, he just kind of jumped on him and kind of fluffed off of him, and they called a roughing the passer call on that one. The officiating was pathetic, to say the very least, and the Packers still were able to overcome that. Hey, you know what? I'll say this, though. To go on the road to San Francisco in that kind of an environment, you got up early and you looked really good doing it and you took your foot off the gas. What the hell with going downfield so much? You got a run game established. By the way, fourth down, fourth and short. Why did you draft A.J. Dillon? Why do you call a guy Quadzilla if you're not going to use him? I don't understand the constant, and this has been something that goes back to Mike McCarthy. This is Aaron Rodgers. This is not Matt LaFleur. This is not Mike McCarthy. This is Aaron Rodgers. He wants to throw the ball. Why do you not run in fourth and short situations if you're going to go for it anyway? Why do you not use Quadzilla? Why did you draft him? To do what? He got 6 carries and 18 yards. What are you doing with the damn football? And now you're going to see this joyous Aaron Rodgers, and he did everything, and he brought him back, and he let him. He almost cost him the game, going 3 straight times deep, because he went 3 straight times deep. Devontae Adams gets banged up, then goes over the top to MVS, then back to Devontae Adams on the very next play after that, and 3 and out. What he did was allowed his team enough time that Garoppolo, who just took what the defense gave him, a couple of conversions on 3rd down, picked up first downs, and did enough to put the ball in the end zone. What Aaron Rodgers did was go 3 and out so quickly that it actually gave the Packers that 56 seconds to get then downfield and hit the 51-yard field goal for Mason Crosby. So he better thank his lucky stars it worked out that way, because he was part of the problem. Still a tremendous night for Aaron Rodgers, don't get me wrong, but going 3 deep 3 straight times was the wrong move, when all you're trying to do is pick up first downs, drive the ball, and end the game. And they didn't do that. So a failure in many areas tonight. You can look at it as a win and be happy, and I am, because I picked them to lose. So for this to be culminating the way it did is fantastic. But overall, it's not one of the better performances by the Green Bay Packers. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Our buddy Danny says, wow, the refs really suck tonight. Dennis says, glad you agree with the refereeing. If we would not have won, you would blame the coach for not kicking the field goal. They always say take the points. I said take the points. I appreciate the fact that they're aggressive and go for it. Okay, that's fine. But you better have a better play than what you came up with. You didn't have any kind of a play. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Give us a shout. Terry says you got to kick the field goal, get the points on the road instead of going for it early on. None of it would have mattered. Terry also says great teams find a way to win. No, that's true. The Packers found a way to win after figuring out a way to lose it. So give them credit. Refs were garbage. Absolutely. We've talked about the helmet-to-helmet to Devontae Adams. That was not called. That was trash. The officiating crew. I would not. Now, they don't really tell us who does and doesn't get fined and or reprimanded out of the officiating crew. They keep that pretty private. But I got to think that, as they stated on TV, mechanically, that was on the officiating crew not to get back and see that. That was a terrible non-call. Terrible non-call. This one is from Mark, who says Mason Crosby cold as ice. Mason Crosby has been so solid throughout his entire career. He just has. He's been so solid throughout his entire career. This is Anthony, who says, what happened to Jair Alexander? This was not a good night for him. Jair Alexander allowing that many catches tonight against him, that's not the norm for him. I mean, he had a couple of solid pass breakups and looked Jair-esque, but I don't know. It just wasn't his night. Garoppolo is either stupid or just didn't have any fear. Take your pick. But they kept throwing at him, and he kept giving up some catches. Samuel got more than a couple of catches against him tonight. I think he caught 4 against him. Kittle, 9 targets, 7 catches, 92 yards. Brandon Ayuk, he got a couple of catches against him, too. He got into the end zone one time. You've got Sermon, 10 carries, 31 yards. Kittle, like I said, a carry around the end for 9 yards. Nothing spectacular. There wasn't a lot to it. I mean, when you look at, here's the one thing to think about. After the first half, San Francisco only had, I think it was 3 first downs. They ended up with 26 for the game. 26 for the game. And the Packers won the turnover battle. The Packers won the turnover battle and had the first downs in the first half, had the 49ers down to 0. The 49ers only converted 25% of third downs in the first half. They were 1 of 4. They ended up with 26 first downs and 7 of 11 the rest of the way. 7 of 11. Which means they were 6 of 7 the rest of the second half. I mean, that's a tale of two halves defensively. It's terrible. Again, 877-867-1670. Let's get to the phone calls. Joe, welcome to the program, the Green and Gold Postgame Show. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, Bill. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it as always.
You bet.
Wow, man. That was a huge, huge, huge win for Green Bay. You're right. It was a tale of two halves for the Green Bay defense. But I will tip my hat to Joe Barry. He had his players ready on that side of the ball. And we all knew, you, me, everybody included knew, in the second half, Shanahan was going to make adjustments, right? Mm-hmm. We all knew that. And, okay, all good. So what happens after that? Then it falls on Aaron Rodgers and the offense. What can you guys do? Bill, they shut me up because before this game, I thought this was a 31-20, 34-20 game San Francisco. I just did not believe the offense was going to be able to go in there without Jenkins and Bakhtiari, obviously, and perform. Man, Bill, do you understand? On that, and I know you do, on that offensive line, you had Newman, Myers, and Yosh.
Right.
If I told you that before the season, you would have looked at me and said, oh God, the massacre.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad. Man, they stepped up. Listen, Stokes, he took some lumps on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm okay with that. He took some rookie lumps. That's fine. We can work with that. Campbell, he was all over the damn field. Preston Smith, man, you get the game ball. You were all over that damn defensive field. Alexander, he played well, gave up a touchdown. That's okay, whatever. That's his first touchdown. He's probably given up in 10 years? Not a big deal. I'm being, hypothetical.
No, I get it.
Listen, this was a huge, huge win. Here was my problem. Why did you get away from the run?
I don't know.
Run the football. They could not stop it. It was 4, 5, 6 yards a chunk. 4, 5, 6 yards a chunk. And then boom, 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 pass downfield. Oh, okay. Well, we got a punt. Oh, okay. Well, we turn over on downs. Stop. This is when we see the first half, Bill, these are the Green Bay Packers that we know in the first half. This is what they are capable of. They are dominant when they play to their game, and they're not trying to play hero ball. They're not trying to play frantic ball. They're not trying to just chuck it up all over the place. No. Stick within the game plan, man. Run the ball up the gut. Hammer them. Boom. Your shot play will come. Right. All good. Right. But, man, this is a huge, huge victory for Green Bay. This is massive. This is going to carry this team a long way the rest of this year. I guarantee it. Whether it's for seeding purposes down the road, whether it's for, whatever, anything you want to say. But listen, this is big. And it's big for guys like Yosh, Newman, Myers. You had 3. Look at those guys on the offensive line.
Yeah, Myers only had 2 mistakes tonight. He was really, really solid. And when you bring up Yosh Nijman, he had Bosa a lot tonight and did a really good job. Now, he didn't bowl him over, but he kind of steered him back and away from Rodgers. Or Rodgers did a really good job of getting rid of the ball in less than 2.5 seconds on most dropbacks tonight as well. But Nijman did a really, really good job on him.
There was one play where Tunyon was chipping in and helping Yosh. And, Tunyon laid out Bosa on that play. But that's the kind of offensive line work, team unity work that you need to see in a game like this where hey, we are down to our 3rd offensive tackle. We need help, guys. What are we going to do? We got to dig deep. Hey, Tunyon, you got to chip in here. Lewis, someone, you got to chip in. You got to help, blah, blah, blah. things of that nature. They did it, man.
Yep.
This is a huge, huge win. This is, Bill.
It's a big
This
win.
is one of the
It's a big win for a couple of reasons. One, and I got to run to a break here. Hang on. So I appreciate the phone call. There's a couple of reasons. One, it's just a win. Okay. Secondly, it's a win against the 49ers in a regular season when you're facing Kittle, you're facing Garoppolo, you're facing a lot of their weapons, you're facing a defense that's pretty strong. So that's a big win. It's a win that's in the conference as well. You needed this win. And many predicted after the first game against New Orleans, in which you looked so terrible, that was the beginning of the end. And this was a win that you had to have and a come from behind with Aaron Rodgers leading it down the field. Even though, take away what happened prior to that, take away the 3 straight bombs, take away the craptastic defense, it was a win that you turned over to the guy that had a knock on him for a long, long time that he couldn't bring you back and couldn't get a win as time wound down. And they did that as well. Bit of the back, obviously Shanahan and company kind of do what they did during the off season, so to speak, that really kind of ignited this whole drama with the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. Hang in there. We got a lot more Bill Michaels show and the Green and Gold postgame show. It's coming up next.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Crosby to try to win it. And the kick is good to win the game.
It was a nail biter. They needed it. They got it. The Packers get a win. They knock off the San Francisco 49ers. 30-28 the final on a 51-yard field goal. Hoisted through the uprights, barely making it through by a couple of feet. And you've got the hero, Mason Crosby, who got a chance to hoist the helmet, run down the field in exaltation as he and his teammates celebrated a big win out on the West Coast. Many people thought that the Packers wouldn't win this game, and against a lot of the odds, including officiating, they did just that. They did a lot to give it away, but nevertheless, it's a win. So you take it, man. Look, you're 2-1. You're back atop the division. You've got a lot of things trending in the right direction for you. You hope that the injury to Devontae isn't something that, and I got to be honest, between you, me, and the fence post, I didn't think there was any way in hell he was going to come back in that ballgame. He looked glassy-eyed. He must have done some unbelievable talking to allow Doc McKenzie to let him back into that contest. Because, when they had that close-up of him laying on the ground, he looked a little glassy-eyed. By the way, we got to say, hopefully he gets well. Andy Reid left the stadium today after their game down in Kansas City. He's resting hours after leaving Arrowhead via ambulance. He just did not feel good. Said he was attended to by the medical staff as a precaution, was transported to the medical center. They said coach is doing well, currently resting, stable condition. The Chiefs announced that Reid was feeling ill after the game, and an assistant head coach, special teams coordinator Dave Taub, spoke with the media in place of Andy Reid. Shortly thereafter, James Palmer reported that Reid left the stadium in an ambulance, more so for precautionary reasons, just started feeling ill, lightheaded, shortness of breath. They thought possibility of a heart attack or a heart ailment, but turns out it was not, so good news there. So, best of luck to Andy Reid, and then he gets back with a very speedy recovery, and he's doing okay. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, feel free to go ahead and do so. Tyler writes, this has got to be one of the heart-wrenching games for both Packers fans and the 49ers. We almost lost Devontae Adams along the way. Why in the world did they throw it 3 straight times? Again, exactly what I was saying. Exactly what we started out the post-game show with. I don't know why, when all you needed to do was pick up first downs and drive the ball. That's it. That's all you needed to do. I don't know why the insistence of 3 straight deep passes. The first one, you lose your main wide receiver. The second one, a complete overthrow to Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And then the third one, your wide receiver comes back, and then you miss him too. And you knew the minute Devontae Adams came back on the field, that's where they were going with the football. Everybody in the stadium knew it. So I don't know why the insistence on going 3 straight deep times. But ultimately, it all comes out, and the Green Bay Packers get a win. 877-867-1670. A lot of people chiming in over on the Bud Light live stream. By the way, thanks to you for chiming in over on the Bud Light live stream, brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. This one's just from Ryan, my boy Crosby. This is from Mark, says the refs were awful. Kinger says MVS tried to get on the field, and they said no to him. Derek says Packers having a problem scoring after turnovers. Boy, aren't they? That's another good point. They get a big turnover. The defense put them in good position a couple of times, and you can't convert either of those into points. Now, on one hand, you can say, well, then your defense is off the field because your defense then doesn't have a chance to give the ball up. But man, oh man, come on. You've got to take advantage of it. What happened to now that would be the only time I would say go for the kill shot. When you get a turnover, that's what you usually do. Is you don't come out and run your normal offense. You come out and you usually try to take a kill shot. And a lot of times you might get it. And a lot of times you do get it, I should say. And they just didn't do that. They kind of wasted 3 straight. This is from Steven. Steven says, Rodgers' performance today, adequate, not great, but not terrible. I think he played extremely well in the first half, though, don't you? I did. And the fact is that he helped out his offensive lineman, and it was a brilliant game plan. Basically, it was going to be this. It was going to be get rid of the football, Don't put that young, inexperienced offensive line under a tremendous amount of pressure with Bosa and company. It's that simple. Just get rid of the football. 2.5 seconds. He was what did the one next gen stats say that he was 16 for 16 when getting rid of the football in 2.5 seconds or less? That's how good Aaron Rodgers was on point tonight and getting rid of it and not really putting his offensive lineman in a horrific position. Kanger said, if only Wisconsin beat Notre Dame, what a weekend it would have been for the state of Wisconsin. Don't get me started on that. That was a pathetic performance by the Wisconsin Badgers, by their head coach, by their quarterback. It was awful. It was awful. That was a high school offense that they were running out there. Dive left, dive right. Not much to it. Not a whole lot of motion. Not a whole lot of misdirection, play action. None of that. Just nothing. Just nothing. Just a bad performance. And to lose to a quality Notre Dame team, but I can't stand. We all know that I can't stand Brian Kelly.
Hey, but 4-point favorites against Michigan next weekend.
Who cares? Their season's over. Who cares? They can't beat a top ranked team because their offense is absolutely pathetic and inept. It's terrible. It's terrible. This is from Mark. Mark says, hey, guys, has anybody talked about the fact that Jair Alexander didn't look good? We did. We talked a little bit about that early on. He did not look good tonight. He still had tight coverage. He just allowed some catches. It wasn't like he was awful. He just allowed some catches. That was part of the problem, is that he got highlighted a few times tonight, and that's not the norm for Jair Alexander. Chris says, what did you think of Myers and Royce Newman? I thought Myers played pretty well, only a few mistakes. Myers had two of them. One, Aaron Rodgers let him know about it. It was snapping the football, looking at the clock. He needed to get rid of the football earlier before the Randall Cobb was crossing in motion. He needed to get the ball to Rodgers before Cobb got to him, so that way they could fake the handoff. And that's why Rodgers was so upset. There was one other time he snapped the ball and he started downfield and he opened up a gap between himself and Newman. Therefore, there was the ability to put a pass rush on Rodgers. Now, it turned out to be okay because Rodgers rolled left, threw back right, and completed the pass. No harm, no foul. But those were the only two mistakes that I saw Josh Myers make tonight. Other than that, I thought, for the most part, a lot of those guys played extremely well. I really do. 877-867-1670. We got this half hour down. We got another hour yet to go. We're going to hear from Devontae Adams. He's at the podium. Going to hear from Aaron Rodgers. Going to hear from Matt LaFleur. Mike Clemens is live in San Francisco. And I want your calls. Want your reaction. Tonight, this team needed a win. No matter how ugly, no matter how bad, no matter how good, what do you think of this win? What do you think this does for the Green Bay Packers moving forward? And, their next opponent, you got Pittsburgh coming up on the docket. Pittsburgh loses at home to Cincinnati. What is going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Big Ben and company did not look good. My goodness. We'll give you the rundown of a lot of the scores throughout the rest of the National Football League today. You got still some undefeateds that are remaining that in a big game that was out west as well. But right now, the Green Bay Packers on top in the NFC North, the only team in the NFC North with 2 wins. Minnesota, nah, baby, nah. Detroit, they lose in a record-setting performance. And the Chicago Bears set a record today as well. None of which you want to be on the receiving end of. So, all in all, not a bad day at the office by the time you wake up tomorrow morning and you look at the standings. Hey, congratulations to the Milwaukee Brewers, Craig Counsell and company. Finally, they get it clinched. They get a chance to celebrate at home. Also, Wisconsin's own Steve Stricker, he put it on the Europeans. Got a lot more of the Green and Gold postgame show. It's all coming up next.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed. That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Blue 58, go! Green 18! Green 19, touch!
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
30-28, it's a win, and you'll take it. The Green Bay Packers knock off the San Francisco 49ers out in the Bay Area, Santa Clara, California. Going to hear coming up from Davante Adams, Aaron Rodgers, the head coach, Matt LaFleur. Also going to hear from Mike Clemens out there inside Levi's Stadium, and we'll get his take on all of this. We'll even hear some, I believe, if we're not too late tonight, maybe from the losing side. I'd love to hear from the officiating crew and get some of their explanation as to just how they can, in a way, put on the field tonight as well. But that being said, it's all up to you. If you want to light the lines, do it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to find us over on Twitter, it's @Bill_Michaels, @Bill_Michaels. Also, all you got to do is give us a shot over there on the Facebook fan page, YouTube, Twitch. You can hit us up on the Bud Light live stream. We are brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network and the Green and Gold postgame show. And glad to have you part of this in so many different ways. Pack played an expected, or as expected, I should say. They are no better, no worse than the Niners. Well, they're a little better than the 49ers. They won. I mean, think of it this way. The 49ers defense did exactly what the Packers defense did, right? They ended up giving up the yards at the end of the ball game in which they couldn't stop the Green Bay Packers in the passing attack of Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers put them in position to win. They couldn't block and or do anything to disrupt Mason Crosby. Even with that timeout, Crosby splits the uprights and walks off with a win. The Packers, by the way, they were 45.5%, 45.5 on third down. What is the most concerning is the fact that the 49ers were 2 of 5. I thought it was 1 of 4. They were 2 of 5 in the first half. 2 of 5 in the first half. They were 5 of 6 in the second half on third down. Packers defense couldn't get off the field. Packers defense could not get off the field. And that's the reason this game was close. And that's concerning. You know, that's concerning. 877-867-1670. Let's do this. Also, you're going to hear from Mason Crosby too tonight. While we're sitting here, let's do this. For those who want to take a listen, give us a shout and keep hitting us up. If you want to chime in, call the program. I want to get. Let's take a listen to Davante Adams at the podium. Davante Adams talking to the media. Here it is.
Well, I mean, it was both, I guess. I don't know. I've been hit like that plenty of times. So it was seemed legal at the time, but I was having more trouble breathing when I was on the ground. That's what happened. So I feel like I took the brunt of it to the chest.
How were you feeling and how were you able to only miss one play? Because it looked pretty scary at first. What happened on the sideline when you
well, which one do you want me to answer first? Well, how I'm able to get through it is I'm different. So that's probably the main thing. I've dealt with a lot of stuff like that, and just the mental toughness to get in there to know, it wasn't a concussion. So it was, I went on the sideline. They evaluated and saw it right away. I was straight. It was really more than anything on the ground was my chest. I was having trouble catching the breath, but definitely good now.
Is next week at all in jeopardy for you think, or can you tell?
No, I'll play next week.
What are you guys thinking? No timeouts, 37 seconds left with the ball being gone.
I was thinking it's a lot of time on the clock to count us out. It just took me back to 2018 when we played the Rams out there, and we had a unfortunate fumble that kind of took that ability for us to go down there and show what we do away. And, I just had a quick flash of that, and it just kind of bounced in my head. I was like, this is the time where we need to go and kind of show what we would have done on that drive. We got the quarterback to do it, and we got all the personnel to do it to go make plays like that. So never in my mind. I knew it'd be tough with no timeouts, but as long as they gave us the right looks for the plays that we were going to be getting into, I felt good about it.
Yeah, how'd you get open on? You're pretty open on both of those, essentially.
Well, I think the fact we had no timeouts played a lot into it because they were kind of shielding that sideline. So, the middle of the field was pretty wide open. And I wish on the first one I would have got a little bit more of field and refrained from getting scooped on near the sideline by 51. But, we were able to get it done, man. So it's all that mattered.
Just you were just saying this week, every game's a big game to you. So accepting that fact, regular season satisfaction, how high is this one for you personally?
Oh, it's through the roof for sure. I mean, this is the type of game that, we haven't had a whole lot of success going against this team coming out here or just playing in California in general. So being able to come out here and kind of face what we've done in the past felt really good. And, obviously Mason's been lights out for a long time now. So no doubt in my mind that he was going to be able to poke that one through. Good feeling, no matter what point it is in the season, for sure.
Just to clarify, when you went to the sideline after the injury, they did check you for concussion. There was a conversation about whether they should evaluate you for that.
That's what I went in the tent for. So it was pretty apparent to them right away. I think me being down is what had them kind of worried at the beginning. And then once they came over and was talking to me, they went through all the protocol on the field. And then when I came off and went in the tent, I was ready to go on the sideline. And then they said they had to go in the tent, check me out. So went in there and knocked that out and then back out there.
You said earlier this week it's hard to judge when breakout games are going to happen, but how good does it feel to see MVS finally start clicking with the rest of the offense this season?
Feels great. I mean, people got to respect it. And if they don't, then you'll see what you saw in that first one down there where he's able to kind of run free. And I think the difference today was that we didn't just see two shell all game. They played a little bit of man, a little bit of one high, mixed it up, which I was, kind of looking forward to. Give me some one-on-one opportunities, and which means that, if I'm one-on-one, then, typically that means the rest of the guys are going to be one-on-one too. And, Quez is somebody that'll make you pay for it, especially down the field in those type of situations.
You're from California, you went to Fresno State. How special is it for you to come back here and play football?
It's awesome, man. I got a million text messages coming to this week, even today alone, from people just showing all type of crazy support, man. And that goes a long way. Anytime I'm out there, obviously I'm gonna be playing as hard as I possibly can, but your mama watching you, your grandma watching you, live. Got my wife is here, and a lot of my family, a lot of my high school buddies that I haven't talked to in a while. So just knowing that they're there, in person watching it kind of gives you a little extra boost.
There you go, Devontae Adams, and still talking to the media. We'll get back with Mason Crosby, obviously Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur coming up. But I want to open up phone lines up, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. So he got hit in the chest. He couldn't breathe. That was part of the problem. He said his chest took the brunt of it, although when they put him in the tent, he did and was checked for a concussion. Whatever he told him, I still say he looked a little glassy-eyed. Maybe when you get the wind knocked out of you, that's the look you have. I've had the wind knocked out of me a couple of times. I don't remember how I looked, but maybe that was the look. But he certainly looked like he got hit in the head. He looked like that was more of the brunt. But he said he was fine. He said, and when he was asked, how are you going to feel and going into next week, he said, I'm good. Don't worry about it. So at least for all intents and purposes now, he's going to play. But good to hear from Devontae Adams. The thing about the question about going back to the West Coast, there's a lot of guys that, go back to the West Coast that are from those areas. It's almost the standby question for anybody that plays in an area. What was it like coming back here to play? What was it like? Who cares? Who cares? It's a game. I think that question's so overdone. It's like Aaron Rodgers gets asked about it all the time. Every time they play the 49ers, here we go. Guarantee. Are you still mad they didn't pick you number one overall? Are you still fired up? Are you still going to make them pay? What's he supposed to say at this point? Nah, it's been 16 years of my career. I'm over it. Don't worry about it. No big deal. No big deal. If we lose, we lose. I'm good with that. I'm okay. Come on. Yeah, we want to win. Whatever I need to use motivationally, I'm going to use. It is what it is. But let's get past those questions. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Give us a shot. 877-867-1670. This is from Mark. Mark says, hey, Bill, great show. Good to see you back after your trip to the UP. We had a great time in the UP, by the way. It was fantastic. It was awesome. Really good time. Really good time up there, not only in hanging out at Pine Mountain Resort, but just all the different places. Polly's Underground was fantastic. The Brick. I had a great time over at Henry's new steakhouse up in Iron Mountain, just outside of Iron Mountain. It was awesome. Really, really good. Had a fun time. Let's see here. Well, Alan says I was just in the UP. Go Pack, go. You know what? A lot of Packer fans sitting with Detroit Lions fans in the UP yesterday and today, as a matter of fact. And speaking of that, a 66-yard field goal. A 66-yard field goal, a new record in the National Football League, is what it took to do in the Detroit Lions today. 1917. Tucker hits a 66-yarder as time expires, and 1970. The final is the Baltimore Ravens keep the Lions winless on the season. The Lions had one right there within their fingertips. And today was just not their day. Just another way, and that's twice now that the Lions have been on the losing end of a field goal that sets a record in the National Football League. Awful. Then you go to Justin Fields today, who completed 6 of 20. 6 of 20 for 68 yards. Their offense today was completely inept. Montgomery, 10 carries, 34 yards. It was terrible. And the Bears got beat 26-6. Santos with a couple of field goals. That was all they could muster today. 26-6. They got beat by the Cleveland Browns over there at the Mistake on the Lake. So the Bears today looked rather bad. The Vikings get their first win of the season. Vikings win 30-17. They knock off the Seahawks. Seahawks come into U.S. Bank Stadium. I thought the Seahawks might come in a little bit more loaded than what they were after getting humiliated in their home opener last week by the Tennessee Titans. But they go into U.S. Bank Stadium, the Vikings, 30-17 to get the win. So the Vikings have one win on the season. And same with the Bears. And the Packers now with 2 wins, back atop the division. And the Bears lead in the division, or at least atop the division, for what we could basically say was a breath. And that was it. And that was it. That was all they were there. That's it. This one's from J3, says the delay of game was a broadcasting mistake. There was actually around 4 seconds left on the play clock when Lamar snapped it. That I don't know. I know that, let me say this, the delay of the game, the delay of game penalty that Rodgers took deep down in San Francisco territory early on, that was a mistake. Because they got down there from the deep pass to Devontae, and then they just didn't set up. They just didn't set up in time. They took their time getting back to the huddle. And that was on them. And then to burn the timeouts the way they did, that was disheartening too. Because we come down to a game where they absolutely positively need it. You know, it would have helped them. Now, ultimately, look, they won. You know, that's it. Marcos Valdez-Scantling just tweeting out, by the way, y'all left 12 with time on the clock. Y'all ain't seen his resume. Marquez Valdez-Scantling giving his guy Aaron Rodgers props. But between some of the untimely penalties, look, we can talk a lot about the officiating, which was just horrific, and I get that. But the bottom line was the Packers made enough mistakes to lose the game, and they did just enough and overcame enough mistakes to win the game, which is exactly what they did. And Mason Crosby's been one of the steadiest kickers in the National Football League for a while now. For a while. 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, do so. Phone lines are wide open. Get your voice heard. Jeff says, let's just say that Aaron did not manage the clock well. He didn't. In that last drive, he did. He knew exactly what to do. He was completely veteran. But there are times where this team will do certain things and it just gets away from them. How many times over the years have you and I sat here after a ball game and said, why are they calling a timeout and about ready to watch the play clock strike zero? They either can't get the play in quick enough, or they take too much time getting back to the huddle and getting out of the huddle, or the checkdowns and all the cerebral stuff that's going on and the gamesmanship that's going on is costing them valuable time and ultimately costs them a timeout. And when you need them, such as a game like this, it can prove to be detrimental. Eventually, that can burn you. I understand a lot of coaches will say, hey, look, if you've got it, take it. You'd rather be safe than sorry. You don't want to waste a possession. But sometimes, man, it's just it's mind numbing. Much like 3rd and short, 4th and short, and they're throwing deep. Again, I go back to my opening statement. Why did you draft A.J. Dillon? Why? You don't use him. In the situation in which he's there to thrive the most, you don't use him. Now, I will say this. You're probably looking at things going, wait a minute. I got Josh Nijman, Royce Newman, Josh Myers. I got all these young cats that I'm going to say, hey, go get me a yard. John Runyon, a yard against a really good stout front. Armstead, Kinlaw, Jones, Bosa. You're bringing Warner up the gut. Marcel Harris. Those guys, Emmanuel Mosley, you're bringing all these guys in, whether they're blitzing corners or they're blitzing safeties or they're bringing the linebackers up. I get it. So maybe you would rather put the ball in Aaron Rodgers' hands. Leave it in the MVP's hands. I understand it, but I still, you tell me, what situation does it have to be for A.J. Dillon to get the ball in 3rd or 4th and short situations? Why have a guy named Quadzilla on your team if you're not going to utilize him where you would feel he would fit best? That is a little bit of a head scratcher. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. We got a lot more yet to go. Going to hear from Aaron Rodgers, too. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Green and Gold postgame show. It's coming up next.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Seconds left, and all you need to do is get into field goal range. So what's your first thought?
Throw it to Tay.
That's it. Throw it to Tay. What's the game plan? Throw it to Tay. What do you dream about at night? Throw it to Tay. I hate to see if Devontae Adams ever goes down for any length of time, because then it has to become game plan and execution more so than just throw it to Tay. But the Packers, they get a win. They knock off the San Francisco 49ers 30-28 on a last-second field goal that splits the uprights, courtesy of Mason Crosby. Yes, the officiating was horrific. There's not many excuses you can make for it. It was just bad. It was just bad. I don't know how else to put it. Before we hear from Aaron Rodgers, I got to take a listen for just a minute or two here. Mason Crosby just left the podium. Let's take a listen to what Mason Crosby had to say after making that huge kick tonight.
Everybody else was watching. I was already going.
When the coach called a timeout, do you actually like that because it gives you more time, or is it more advantageous that they call a timeout or not? Does it even bother you?
It's part of the deal, and you kind of practice it. And so in that situation, he called it early, so we would have been, kind of pushing it to try to get a rep there as well. So, and I think that's probably the best way to do it. That way I don't get a practice swing at it. And I just go and reset, do my, my normal operation and come back in. So it was 51. That's whenever the operation was what it was, and it's like you just know you have the support of the team, everybody. What Aaron and that offense was able to do in 37 seconds. It does make it easy for me. I just go out there and do my job, and it's been doing this a long time, so I'm still excited every time those balls go through the uprights.
You see the reaction of Rodgers when he made that spike. After he spiked the ball, he kind of did this.
Well, I mean, that's how it is. We've played together for a long time, and it's he knows he did his part, and he trusts that I'm going to go out there and do mine. So I'm always happy when I can come through and finish off a game like that.
Jason, you joke that you don't get to do these often, but you've had your share over the years. Last year,
yeah.
In these moments, how much does that experience kind of kick in for you and keep things calm?
Well, obviously, yeah, just knowing, what those moments feel like, what kind of the end result and the celebration, you just kind of like have that, that experience from past moments. So, that was a big one. I mean, it was a 51-yarder. So, it's, you got to hit it true and hit it solid. And, and then celebrating with the guys in the end zone, just seeing that energy and feeling that juice is what it's all about. And then carrying on into the locker room and, guys pouring water all over my head and, on everybody. It's, that's what this game's all about. It was really special.
There you go. That's Mason Crosby. Big night for him. Going to be a happy plane ride coming home. Good to see him do it. A lot of questions. This is from Drew. Said there are some issues with Dylan understanding the playbook early of his rookie year. Maybe I'm still wondering if the guy is just a dummy out there. So if they have to check out of a play, will he really understand it? Too much at risk in those situations. I don't know. But you brought this guy in. You brought this guy in to be that. So at some point you got to use him, right? At some point you got to use him. Real quick, this was from Annie, who says, "What do you think of the hit to Devontae Adams?" Look, we talked about this early. I think it was a garbage non-call. He should have been flagged at the very least, and it should have been a personal foul and a penalty from the hit, from the placement of the hit and everything. To be honest with you, I mean, if that was college, it would have been a targeting. They would have taken a look at it, and chances are the player would have been ejected from the game. I'm not a huge fan of ejecting guys from the game, but that was a kill shot. You know, that was a kill shot. Brett says Dylan incredibly smart. I've listened to him. Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, that's just a speculation from somebody, chiming in. I don't know why they don't use him in those situations. I honestly believe that it doesn't matter who's in the backfield. It's the ball is in Aaron Rodgers' hand. Rodgers will see mismatches. I asked Aaron this years and years and years ago because it used to drive me crazy. 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and he's throwing it 40 yards downfield. And that was back when McCarthy was here. And I always thought it was McCarthy's call, and it wasn't. It was always Aaron's call. If Aaron comes to the line of scrimmage and he sees the matchup he likes, he's going to go with that. James said, I live in Canada where they are saying on TV that the hit was totally legal. No, it wasn't. He lowered the crown of his head and went to the head of the opponent and a defenseless player. It's textbook for being an illegal hit. It may be legal in the Canadian Football League. Maybe they haven't gone that far, but it's not legal anymore in the National Football League. Aaron Rodgers at the podium. Let's dip in, take a listen to what Aaron has to say after this game.
You're a stud, so I've seen you since you played at the Butte, Pleasant Valley, and Cal Berkeley. Same thing, 37 seconds, not a big deal for you.
Yeah, a lot of time left. We used a bunch of timeouts there in the 3rd and 4th quarter, so we're out of timeouts. But felt good about the first play call, especially. Matt and I and Getsy talked on the sidelines briefly during the last drive for them, and a play we made up in practice on Thursday. Just one alteration on the route by number 2 in the slot, which was Randall, kind of clearing out safety to the front side. When I came up, I was thinking first window on the deep end to Devontae, but Fred was kind of in the way, so I just had to put it over his head. That obviously got us to the 50, which gave us a legit chance for, Hail Mary opportunity at the worst. And we just needed one more completion to get into Mason's range.
So the first play, you guys made that up on Thursday in practice?
Yes.
Oh, how does that happen?
I do the 2-minute, and I like to adjust some routes from time to time to get a look at what it feels like against our defense. And so I just adjusted one of the routes, and we all liked it. And Matty suggested it right before the last, right before we went out there. He said, "What do you think about this play?" I was like, "Yeah, I like that. That'd be pretty good."
So did you call all the plays there? You called all the plays there on that last drive?
I did. Matt suggested the first one, and I called the rest.
Aaron, how much time would it needed to be on the clock for you to feel like you had a pretty good crack at it? 37 seconds.
37, yeah. I mean, no timeouts from the 25. You need 2 chunk throws. I mean, I knew that, so that's why I wasn't dink and dunk. You don't have any time for that. We had to get at least 15 on the first play, and then, and a little bit of wind, outdoors. Mace 55 was kind of the end range I was thinking. So that means we got to get the ball to 37. So, we needed 38 yards. So we need a couple chunks.
What do you think when Devontae first took that hit, and then what was your reaction when he only missed one play?
I couldn't believe it. Now, in the league now, the way things have gone, you can't just come back on the field if it's a head injury. So I realized it obviously must not have been a head injury. I went over and checked on him as I was questioning the referee about the possible helmet to helmet, and then having a side conversation with Jimmy Ward. I looked at him and he gave me a thumbs up. To me, that seemed like I just got knocked out and I'm fine. I didn't realize he just had a hard time breathing, and it was nothing to the head. My first thought may have been when he took that terrible shot from Trevathan a few years ago. I remember the next day he was completely clear. Some people's heads respond differently to trauma. Some guys have a hard time with it and can't come back. Some guys kind of clear right away. So I was like, wow, that was quick. Then I realized he obviously didn't have a head trauma, so he was able to come back out there. But like I told Michelle after the game, my first thoughts in devising how I wanted to get us in the field goal range was how can I get 17 the ball.
You talk about your reaction there when you spiked the ball and you gave out that fist pump. And I guess you knew right then and there that you guys had sealed it.
Not about sealed it. I mean, we still had a 51-yard field goal, but my old partner, Mace, felt good about him nailing that. He's made some big kicks over the years. Go ahead.
You had some wins against the 49ers before, but how big is this one given that you guys, first time you were able to play against their fans in the stadium since that playoff game 2 years ago?
Yeah, they beat us up twice in 19. Those were tough ones. Tough. Yeah, the road trip out west from Green Bay is always tough, but feels a lot better when you're going back to a win.
You played the 49ers a dozen times in your career, but is there any added significance being at the fact that you grew up close to here and, one of your favorite teams as a child?
I mean, I would say earlier in my career, there was maybe a different motivation that involved, April 23rd, 2005. That adjusted over the years to just a love for this area, a lot of respect for my time here. Going to Cal, still very close to the program. Justin Wilcox and I actually exchanged texts this morning. So Andrew McGraw, I saw was there a long time, part of the football program. So I love the area. Still have a lot of friends in the area. It's always fun coming back. Hasn't been fun, 2 of the previous 3, but this one's pretty sweet.
Aaron, you mentioned the conversation with Jimmy on the field. How did that conversation go? Did you have any issue with the hip?
From where I was at, it looked like helmet to helmet. My first question was for the back judge. You always have respect for the officials. It's a tough job to do in real time to make decisions. So I was asking him what he saw on the play. He gave me a great dissertation, and then I was wondering who hit my guy. That was the extent of the conversation.
What can you say about how your offensive line played, especially with the injuries you had coming in this week?
Yeah, I'm so proud of those guys. You look across the line. I was thinking about this today in the locker room before the game. I'm thinking back to some of the amazing veteran lines that we've had over the years. With you look across, you got Dave, young Dave, you had TJ and Josh, Corey, Brian. Today going out with Yash Nishman and John Runyon, Josh Myers, Wildman 70, and Billy. I'm just so proud of those guys. I mean, they really played well. They battled, especially Yash. We talked earlier this week about who I was talking to Steno. Who do you want there? And he said, Yash. Yash, really? He said, yeah. So I said, all right, let's do it. And Yash, if you guys probably haven't talked to him a whole lot, but he's a very soft-spoken, quiet guy, great young kid. And Dave always talks about how good his feet are. He says he's got the best feet for any lineman. But I'm just really proud of the way that he battled. I mean, he's going up against one of the top 3 premier pass rushers in the game for most of the game. And, we gave him some help because, you got to. He's boasted such a stud. But there were times we had no help, and I thought he held up really well.
What's this do for you, this win, after the poor start to the season?
Yeah. Give some legitimacy to some of the things we've been talking about, that was kind of an aberration and that we are a talented football team. It felt like in the locker room today that we finally had the energy that I've been waiting to see. And before the game, it wasn't the type of energy we had in Jacksonville, but I knew we needed a spark. And Matt and I talked earlier this week about whether or not he wanted to take the ball. And I said, let's talk about it later in the week, but it feels like we probably should. And Matt and I talked briefly in the locker room before the game. He said, I want to take the ball. I said, let's do it. And to go down, and I know we only got a field goal, but to go down, get a field goal, come back, get a touchdown, and our defense played so well in the first half. That was really important for us. But the energy in the locker room post game, that felt like a win. It felt like it was such a growth moment for us. I'm really, really happy for the guys to feel that. And, it feels like, okay, now we're on our way. Now we can get into this. Now we know how to win. And we can get this thing moving in the right direction.
So there you go, Aaron Rodgers after the ball game. Look, it's a big emotional win for this team, without a doubt. You take it. I go back to the days that I used to do the postgame show with Irv Favre. Irv Favre said the exact same thing. It doesn't matter if you win by 40 or you win by 2. It's a W, man. You take it, you move on, you try to stack success, you try to get better at what you failed at, and hopefully next week is even better. You got a wounded Pittsburgh team coming into Lambeau Field. It's not going to be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. Pittsburgh, after going into and beating what many teams or many pundits thought was a pretty good Buffalo team for the opener, since then have dropped 2 straight at home, this latest being to the Cincinnati Bengals. They're going to come in angry coming into Lambeau Field. So you got to get ready for that contest. We're going to hear from Matt LaFleur when we come back. Also, Mike Clemens out in San Francisco. Stay tuned. More of the Green and Gold postgame show next.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Hunter Bradley on the snap. Here it is. Placement made. Hit to the upright. And it is good! It is good! It is good! Mason Crosby has done it again! 51-yard walk-off field goal.
That is the call via Wayne Larrivee and the Green Bay Packers radio network. Big night tonight as Mason Crosby hits the 51-yarder. The Packers get a win 30-28. They knock off the San Francisco 49ers. It's a win. You take it regardless. And huge win. I know there's a lot of people over on the Bud Light live stream. And by the way, thanks to everybody for paying attention over there. One of our biggest crowd. We always do really well with our crowds after the game. One of the biggest crowds that we've ever had on the live stream. And they're talking about Stokes. Somebody said he wasn't good. I never said he wasn't good. I don't know who said it, but regardless, Stokes tonight, ended up with 5 tackles, had a couple of passes, one pass officially defended, another one that was in his vicinity. It was more so a hurry than anything, and the pass fell incomplete. He had a solid night tonight. I thought he played well for getting the nod. Kevin King falling ill before the team left for San Francisco, so Stokes got the yeoman's work tonight, and I thought he did a fine job. I mean, there was a couple of assignment issues, and he had a pass interference call, and it happened. But for the most part, I thought he played pretty well. So good night tonight for Stokes, without a doubt. 877-867-1670. Let's go back to the phone calls. Talk to Chris. Chris, how you doing tonight, man? What's going on?
Hey, Bill. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Not bad. So I was at the game 2 years ago, the NFC title debacle.
Oh, boy.
Have to say, the only game I've ever left early. Not terribly embarrassed by that, but I thought I was surprised they really made an effort of it tonight. Really demonstrated a lot of commitment, and was a great win. And it gave me a lot of optimism. I feel like there's a lot to build on here, and a big road win that you probably didn't expect. And so hopefully this can lead to bigger and better things for this team.
No, the one thing that I did make a note of tonight and I put on Twitter was that they were kind of in a dogfight and they needed to keep fighting, and they did. I mean, it was a little disappointing to see the 3 straight deep passes go 3 and out in such a quick manner. But I'm just glad to see the team, they kept fighting and coming back. And they had that lead, they relinquished it, and they came back and got it all over again to get a win. And that's the mark of a good team, too. And this is one of those wins that gives you that bonding experience with the rest of the guys, because it's going to be a long, happy flight back to Green Bay. A lot of people chipping and chatting on this flight. So this is a good win for the Green Bay Packers when you talk about a bonding win. You know what I mean? Oh, he cut out. Let's do this. We're going to hear a little bit from Matt LaFleur when we come back. Also, we're going to hear from Mike Clemens as well. So let's do this. We'll step away, take a quick break. We'll come back real quick. A lot of people chiming in over on the Bud Light live stream. I'll try to get to all of you and answer some questions over there as well. But stay tuned. A lot more. Another segment of the Green and Gold postgame show coming up right after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Big win for the Green Bay Packers. Happy flight coming back to Green Bay, and a last-second field goal out of the veteran leg of one Mason Crosby as the Packers going to win 30-28. And they knock off the San Francisco 49ers. Maybe just a little bit of extraction revenge-wise for kind of instigating the offseason drama that took place regarding Aaron Rodgers and such, and all the swirls that were discussed this past week between the 49ers and the Packers and Matt LaFleur and such. So joining us now out in Santa Clara, California, Levi Stadium, Mike Clemens on the line. So, Michael, man, big win for the Packers. It wasn't pretty, but you'll take it.
No, and you know what? There is a little juice between these teams, man. You know, Kenny Clark was asked last week, hey, does this feel a little more like a rivalry? And he said, well, yeah, you know, because we've played these guys now 3 or 4 times. We had those 2 big losses. We lost that NFC Championship game. So it's getting to be like a rivalry. And you saw plenty of shoving and pushing. And now there's going to be a story about the way Kyle Shanahan was, you know, at the end of the game and seeing LaFleur. And LaFleur said, you know, he just lost in his home. And you know, that was a, you know, dramatic win for us. And, you know, it must be frustrating for him. But there's a thing that now seems to be going on, you know, between him and LaFleur. But LaFleur recapped the game this way just a few moments ago.
Oh, what a game. That was that's one I will never forget. I'll tell you what, I was just so proud of our guys, the effort. It seemed like we overcame a lot of things, a lot of injuries. Give the Niners credit. What an atmosphere. It was great to be back in the stadium with a lot of fans, and I think it was a pretty entertaining game, but just really proud of our guys' effort. I thought they battled. I thought they showed a lot of toughness and just the resiliency that we look for. And so just really proud of everybody in that locker room.
So, Mike, the kick splits the uprights. You've got the jubilant Aaron Rodgers jumping up and down on the sideline. He was worried about his guy Devontae, who ended up taking that headshot earlier in that contest, and a lot of wrongs were righted by that field goal going through the uprights.
And, you know, there's no question about it. Aaron Rodgers wanted this one. He even made reference about the fact that the 49ers passed on him back in 2005. I mean, you know, he loves this area. This is the team that he grew up watching. That's all about it. And so this, I think, was an interesting answer. So you start off with that really flat game, losing 38-3 to the Saints down in Jacksonville. Then you win at home over the Lions. Now you put on this thriller and win in the clutch. So what does this say about your team tonight?
Give some legitimacy to some of the things we've been talking about, that was kind of an aberration and that we are a talented football team. It felt like in the locker room today that we finally had the energy that I've been waiting to see. And before the game, it wasn't the type of energy we had in Jacksonville, but I knew we needed a spark. And Matt and I talked earlier this week about whether or not he wanted to take the ball. And I said, let's talk about it later in the week, but it feels like we probably should. And Matt and I talked briefly in the locker room before the game. He said, I want to take the ball. I said, let's do it. And to go down, and I know we only got a field goal, but to go down, get a field goal, come back, get a touchdown, and our defense played so well in the first half. That was really important for us. But the energy in the locker room post game, that felt like a win. It felt like there was such a growth moment for us. I'm really, really happy for the guys to feel that. And it feels like, okay, now we're on our way. Now we can get into this. Now we know how to win, and we can get this thing moving in the right direction.
Mike, I have asked Aaron over the years when they've had really successful seasons, I said, at what point do you feel like, there's some legitimacy to this team? It seems like, and he always points to a moment, some win, something happens at practice, a fight, guys come together, bowling outing, something brings the team together. Is this, do you think, one of those moments that we can look back on as the season progresses and say, if they have a successful season, it might be, or at least due in part because this team bonded on this type of win out in San Francisco and finally brought the energy to the West Coast?
Yeah, and in 2018, when they were losing all the road games, and then Mike McCarthy got fired, and they had 4 games left, they were going out to New York, and I actually asked Rodgers about that very thing, and he said, the reason I really want to get this win against the Jets is because these guys need to know what it feels like to come home with a win, Well, how good that feels. And they had an overtime game against Sam Darnold and then pulled it out. But that's what Rodgers is looking for, to teach this new class of guys like MVS and Aaron Jones and all that, what this feels like to get a win. And then they go 13-3 through the next 2 seasons with their new head coach. This, I thought, was a fascinating point. I mean, there's all kinds of questions and some second guessing that need to be looked at the way LaFleur ran this game, like the 4th and goal in the first quarter?
Yeah.
And he decides to go for it instead of and you're already up 7-0 or 10-0. He could have taken a field goal there. And at the end of that game, man, you needed those 3 points when, the 49ers were back into it. Aaron Rodgers, after Devontae took that shot to the chin from Jimmy Ward that knocked him out and actually lost his breath, then they go back on the field, and Rodgers is looking for him again on 3rd and 10 when he had Lazard wide open to the left-hand side. So, people can see that if they DVR it. But this was fascinating. No timeouts left, 37 seconds left, and Devontae said that actually may have helped the Packers get that big pass to the 50-yard line to set up for Mason Crosby.
Well, I think the fact we had no timeouts played a lot into it because they were kind of shielding that sideline. So, it was the middle of the field was pretty wide open. And I wish on the first one I would have got a little bit more of a field and refrained from getting scooped on near the sideline by 51. But, we were able to get it done, man. So it's all that mattered.
I think it's fascinating. The defense from the 49ers know, hey, they're out of no timeouts. Protect the sidelines. Keep them from running out of bounds. Knock down those sideline passes, and they open up that play. It's a play that LaFleur suggested when they were practicing their 2-minute drills Thursday afternoon. He said to Rodgers, hey, if we get into this situation, what do you think about this play? And Rodgers said, I like that. And so they installed that on Thursday, ended up using it tonight, and it made all the difference.
Mike, as we get ready for the next week, we saw Pittsburgh over the last couple of weeks. They got beat by teams that were lesser than them, or at least supposed to be. Cincinnati was the latest to do them in at Heinz Field. That's the next team up on the docket. I mean, it's not going to be a pushover, but you talk about a wounded team coming into Lambeau Field on Sunday.
Yeah, that always helps out. Boy, I like that they finally got to a run game at some point, and I think that always helps for Green Bay against the Steelers defense. Tyler Lancaster, defensive lineman, left the game. I'm not sure exactly what that injury is. Shandon Sullivan returns. So all in all, and Josh Neiman, they gave him big props. That's the guy they went with the left tackle so they could keep Billy Turner there on the right-hand side, and it worked out. They beat the 49ers with 3 young guys that have got less than 5 starts between the 3 of them, and they beat one of the best defensive lines in the NFL tonight with this win.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Good stuff. Mike, get back safe. We'll talk to you tomorrow, okay?
Thank you, Billy.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon. Shannon Sullivan just tweeting out, by the way, wasn't perfect, but a win is a win. Go, Pack, go. And I think that's where we're at. When you look at this game, it wasn't a perfect game. It was a rather ugly game in many facets. Early on, it was seamless. And then when they gave the ball and the momentum back to Jimmy Garoppolo and company, they ended up turning things over, and that's when the game was a trenches game, was an ugly game. It was get after it game. It was get some hits game. You're going to overcome officiating game. You're going to overcome your own mistakes, your own ineptitude at times, some of the bad play calling, some bad decisions, some things that just didn't go your way, some penalties that went against you. And, you know, all you got to do is realize you got 37 seconds and get the job done, and damned if they didn't. So a solid one for the Green Bay Packers. Next up on the docket, like I had mentioned, it's the wounded Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to talk a lot about this coming up tomorrow on the program. And tomorrow on the program, we got a lot going on, too. Don't forget, a big win by the United States. Congratulations to Steve Stricker and company. It was a picturesque postcard live from the state of Wisconsin all weekend long, and it was around the world, and it couldn't have been any better. It was a fantastic display for everybody, not just Kohler, but for the entire state of Wisconsin. The Brewers, congratulations to the Milwaukee Brewers who sprayed champagne today after they ended up clinching the National League Central. Even Bob Uecker got in there on it again, and Uecker seemed youthful all over again. And now bring on the postseason. And, we are also going to talk about that ugly, crappy performance out of the Wisconsin Badgers. When it comes to any hopes, anything down the road, Final Fours and such, that this is going to be their year, no, just throw that out the window. You're going to be lucky to win next week against Michigan. You're going to be lucky to beat Iowa. You're going to be lucky to beat Minnesota. And no matter what happens over in the East, you're not beating anybody coming out of the East. It's Ohio State or Penn State or whoever. It ain't going to happen. This is not the year. It's disappointing. But, hey, we'll take the way the day ended, won't we? Great stuff tonight. Thanks to everybody watching on the Bud Light live stream, everybody listening throughout portions unknown, but appreciate it as always. Time for us to go. Packers get a win 30-28 out in Santa Clara.